All right, hi 230. So this is the lesson for May 18th. In it, we're going to be talking about compound probability. So compound probability is when you've got multiple things happening at the same time, and you're either trying to find out what's the probability of both of them happening at the exact same time, or happening in a certain order, or happening just two separate things like rolling a dice and picking a card or something like that at the same time of that happening together, okay? So in this first part up here, we're talking about compound events. So two or more events put together to make one event, the union or intersection of two events. You will see the word or means that you're going to add the probabilities together. So fill in that word right there. All right, so if they're disjointed events, so that means two completely separate things, what you're going to do is you're just going to take the probability of the first one and add it to the probability of the second one, and then you're going to have the total probability. So for example, like I said, choosing a 3 out of a bunch of numbers or choosing a face card, there's no 3s that are also face cards. So because those are two separate events, those are called disjointed events. Overlapping events, let's say that you were pulling from a deck of cards and you were choosing either a black or a 3. There are black 3s that are in the deck of cards, right? So it's possible to get one that's both. So then you would add up the probability of getting a 3, which would be 4 out of 52, and the probability of getting a black card which would be 26 out of 52, and then subtract the amount that are similar or that overlap, and there's two black 3s, so then you would subtract that from that to figure it out. Okay, so I'm going to help you with the first few examples, and then the rest I'll fill out. And then we'll do the beginning of this, and I'll help you with some of those too, okay? But everything will be online under the completed notes. So looking at number 1, it says that there are 7 red, 8 green, and 6 blue marbles in a bag. Kate is going to select one marble at random. What is the probability that she will select a green or a blue marble? So because you can't have a green and a blue marble, these are considered disjointed events. So we're just going to add up the probability of both together. So the probability of getting a green, there's 8 greens out of a total. Well, 7 plus 8 is 15, and 15 plus 6 is 21. So 8 out of 21 is your chance of getting a green. And then your chance of getting a blue is 6 out of 21. So we're going to do plus 6 out of 21. And 8 plus 6 is 14. You keep your denominator the same, so 14 out of 21. I can divide those both by 7, so when I simplify, I'm going to get the fraction 2 out of 3. So the probability is 2 out of 3 for that one. All right, let's try 2. A card is randomly selected from a deck of 52 cards. What is the probability that the card is a 10 or a face card? Now, once again, there's only a certain amount of 10s and only a certain amount of face cards, but you can't have a 10 and a face card, okay? So there's 4 10s, so we're going to do 4 out of 52 as our first probability, plus the amount of face cards. Well, there's 4 jacks, 4 queens, and 4 kings, so that means that that's going to be 12. So 12 out of 52. We add those up. 4 plus 12 is 16. Keep it over 52. All right, we can divide both of those numbers, I want to say, by 4. Yep. So we're going to end up with 4 out of 13 is our simplified probability. All right, let's do one more of this. You roll a fair die. What is the probability that you roll a 1 or an even number? Now, you can't have a 1 and an even number, so these are disjointed. Well, the probability that you roll a 1 is 1 out of 6 because there's 6 sides on a dice. And the probability you roll an even number, well, there's a 2, there's a 4, and there's a 6. So there's 3 chances. So plus 3 out of 6. 1 plus 3 is 4, and you keep it over 6. All right, I can divide both of those numbers by 2. So when I simplify that, I'm going to get that the probability is 2/3. All right, let's look down at the bottom. I want to look down at these spinner problems. So it says down here, use the spinner to answer questions 7 to 11. What's the probability of landing on a black space or an odd number? Okay, so we're going to have to take the probability of doing a black space, which is 4 out of 8. So 4 out of 8, plus the probability of getting an odd number, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 8. But then we have to subtract the amount of overlapping. Well, there are 4 spaces that are odd numbers that are black. So then we're going to subtract 4 out of 8. Well, 4 out of 8 plus 4 out of 8 is 8 out of 8. But then when you subtract 4 out of 8, you're going to get 4 out of 8. And 4 out of 8, you can divide both those numbers by 4, so you're going to get 1/2. Okay, so that's our first time we're doing one where there's overlapping events. All right, let's see the next one. It says a multiple of 3 or a white space. Well, multiples of 3s are numbers like 3, 6, 9, 12, because you can multiply 3 times 1, 3 times 2, 3 times 3. All right, so on here, there's only 2 numbers that are multiples of 3, 3 and 6. So that would be 2 out of 8. The probability of rolling a white space, well, there's 4 of those, so plus 4 out of 8. And then we have to subtract if there's any overlapping. And there's one that is overlapping. The 6 is also a white space, so we're going to subtract 1 out of 8. All right, so 2 plus 4 is 6, and 6 minus 1 is 5, so we're going to get 5 out of 8. And we can't simplify that anymore, so I'm going to leave it as 5 out of 8. All right, go ahead and flip to the next page. I will upload my answers to the rest of these questions. All right, so this is the probability of more than one event happening. So now you will see the word and, because you are finding the probability of more than one event. When there is more than one event occurring, you're going to multiply these probabilities together. So fill that in. All right, so let's go ahead and let's start to look at these. So number 1. Out of a class of 20 students, your teacher chooses students at random to present their projects. What is the probability that she chooses you first and then chooses Kim second? Okay, well, you first would be 1 out of 20. And then choosing the next person, well, Kim would be 1 out of 19 because you already got chosen. So there's no way you can get chosen again. So we're going to be multiplying 1 out of 20 times 1 out of 19. 1 times 1 is 1, and 20 times 19 is 380. So there's only 1 out of 380 chance that it would be you first and then your friend Kim second. All right, so that's all you're doing is coming up with the fractions and multiplying them out. All right, talk to you guys later.